What company comes to your mind when you think about luxury sports cars? Ferrari? Aston Martin? How about the classic and world-famous Lamborghini? What started off as a company focused on competing with the renowned Ferrari line of vehicles has now become one of the most well-known and successful luxury sports car companies in the world. But how did Lamborghini come to be? The man behind the company has a story that some may find hard to believe. That man was Ferruccio Lamborghini, and in this video we're going to talk about how he went from being a prisoner of war during World War II to having monumental success with his iconic Lamborghini supercars. Ferruccio Lamborghini was born in 1916 to parents that were viticulturists. For those of you unfamiliar with the term, that simply means they were in the business of wine growing. He was born in the province of Ferrara, in the Emilia-Romagna region of northern Italy. Growing up, Ferruccio became more interested in the workings of the farming machinery than the actual process of farming. While his parents prepared him to take over the family wine-growing business, Ferruccio had his eyes set on other things that aligned more with his interests. With a desire to hone his skills in mechanics, Ferruccio decided to enroll at the Fratelli Taddia Technical Institute. The knowledge he gained during his time at the institute put him on the path to focus on what he loved: making cars. From 1939 to 1945, a global war shook up millions of people's lives. Ferruccio Lamborghini was drafted into the Italian Royal Air Force in 1940 by his native Italy. There, he served as a mechanic on the island of Rhodes. He assumed a supervisor role at the vehicle maintenance during his service. However, when the British took control of Rhodes in 1945, Ferruccio was taken prisoner and unable to return home until the next year. But during his imprisonment, the British military forces put him to work in their motoring department, where he got experience in working with cars firsthand. Even with limited supplies, Ferruccio found ways to put great cars on the road. Ferruccio would use this experience to further his own career when he was released from his imprisonment. When Ferruccio Lamborghini was allowed to return back to his hometown, he got to work on building his own business. Ferruccio started converting old war surplus material into much-needed tractors for the local farmers, where he found great success. This success allowed him to open a garage in Pieve di Cento. During his time working out of this garage, Ferruccio modified an old Fiat Topolino that would be the first Lamborghini vehicle he made. Those mechanical skills he built up over the years allowed him to take a city car and transform it into a roaring 750cc open two-seater. Ferruccio would even enter the car into the 1948 Mille Miglia, an Italian open-road motorsport endurance race. Unfortunately for Ferruccio, his participation came to an end when he crashed the car into the side of a restaurant in Turin. Apart from this mishap in Turin, Ferruccio recognized that there was an emerging market in Italy following the war that was focused on revitalizing the agricultural and industrial sectors. He started building tractors from scratch, and his Lamborghini Trattori factory was founded in 1949. As production grew, the factory became known as the best in Italy, and this business made Ferruccio a very wealthy man. With this wealth, Ferruccio expanded into other businesses, including air conditioning and central heating manufacturing. These businesses made Ferruccio even more money, and with his increased wealth, a growing love and passion for fast cars. Ferruccio Lamborghini built up quite the collection of exotic cars as his businesses grew his wealth. This collection included a Mercedes SL300, a Jaguar, a Ferrari, and 2 Maseratis, along with many others. One car was giving Ferruccio problems, though, and that was his Ferrari. Ferruccio wasn't the type to keep things to himself, though, and he attempted to meet with the creator of the car, Enzo Ferrari, to complain about the problems he was facing.
With all my Ferraris, there is a problem: the clutch. I have a solution. If you consider a partnership, Ferrari, Lamborghini.
Go back to your tractors, farmer.
Enzo turned down the meeting, but that didn't stop Ferruccio from finding a solution to the problem himself. The issue Ferruccio was having was with the clutch of his Ferrari, and Ferruccio realized that he could use a clutch from one of his tractor factories that fit his Ferrari like a glove. After replacing the clutch with one of his own, Ferruccio never had the issue again. Ferruccio saw issues with other sports cars he owned as well. For example, when talking about his Maseratis, Ferruccio had this to say: "Adolfo Orsi, who was the owner of Maserati at the time, was a man I had a lot of respect for. He had started life as a poor boy like myself, but I did not like his cars much. They felt heavy and did not really go very fast. With the innovation he made to his Ferrari and his businesses allowing for a comfortable lifestyle, Ferruccio decided to try his hand at another business, designing sports cars. In 1963, he founded Automobili Lamborghini to compete with Ferrari. The cars stood out and were noted for using a rear mid-engine, rear-wheel drive layout. This was embodied in the 1966 MIURA Sports Coupe. The MIURA, along with the 350 GT, pushed the company to rapid growth throughout the 1960s. During this period of time, Ferruccio even got himself involved in boat making. In 1968, a Riva Aquarama Lamborghini was registered and delivered to Ferruccio. The boat was the first and only of its kind that was fitted with Lamborghini engines. He owned the boat for 20 years until he eventually sold it to a close friend, Angelo Merli. In other words, life was good for Ferruccio and his sports car brand was making waves.
You buy a Lamborghini when you are someone.
Do you know the story behind the iconic Lamborghini logo? Ferruccio Lamborghini has a strong fascination with the world of bullfighting, and this was a key part of the company's identity and branding. And in 1962, Ferruccio made a visit to the Seville ranch of Don Eduardo MIURA, one of the renowned breeders of Spanish fighting bulls at the time. Ferruccio was so impressed during his visit and the animals that he decided to make the logo of Automobili Lamborghini a raging bull. The MIURA model we talked about before was also named after Don Eduardo, which was a great sense of pride for the bull breeder. Ferruccio continued to draw inspiration from bullfighting in his business throughout the years. Another one of his car models, the Islero, was named after one of Don Eduardo's bulls that killed a famous bullfighter known as Manolete in 1947. The Uraco was also named after a bull breed. Even after Ferruccio's time at the company, Lamborghini continued the tradition of naming its cars after bull breeds or other things related to the world of bullfighting. There was the JALPA of 1982 that was named after a bull breed. The DIABLO was named after the Duke of Veragua's famous bull that had an epic battle in Madrid in 1869. The MURCIELAGO was named after a legendary bull that survived 28 sword strokes. It's fitting that the company would adopt this type of branding, as its owner had a personality similar to these magnificent bulls he and his company paid homage to. Unfortunately for Ferruccio Lamborghini, financial troubles started to plague his companies. In 1971, Lamborghini Trattori ran into issues with orders from multiple countries, including Bolivia and South Africa. Ferruccio was forced to sell his share in the company to a rival tractor builder known as SAME. Shortly after, all of the Lamborghini group ran into financial issues. The 1973 oil crisis prompted even more issues, and sales of high-performance cars dropped heavily. With all of these problems adding up, Ferruccio lost his passion for his car business. He cut off his connections with all the cars that bore his name and embarked on a new life path. Following his departure from the sports car world, Ferruccio Lamborghini found himself living a simpler life. He retired to an estate named La Fiorita in central Italy and returned to his farming roots. He took up hunting and got into the wine production business. He even designed his own golf course. In 1993, Ferruccio passed away, but left behind a legacy and sports car brand that lives on today. Lamborghini models are still being designed today and remain among the best in the sports car world. It is quite the story and triumph, given that the man who was the visionary behind all of it was a prisoner nearly 70 years prior.